It's just after midnight in the Soviet early warning bunker. The room is designed for certainty, concrete walls, disciplined procedures, lights that do not flicker, voices trained not to shake, even under pressure. Every detail of the space exists for one reason: to remove doubt, to make decisions faster than hesitation ever could. Then the klaxon cuts through everything, not the kind of alarm that suggests confusion, not a warning that invites discussion. The sound has a single meaning. A new space-based system, installed to give the Kremlin more time to think, is now doing the opposite. It is compressing the world into minutes. A message appears on the screen, one that no one ever wants to see. A launch has been detected, a nuclear launch originating from the United States. And in that moment, the most important piece of equipment in the room is not the computer. It is not the screens. It is not the sensors tracking the sky. It is a telephone. Because once that phone is picked up, the Cold War stops being theoretical. In Cold War logic, early warning was never about winning a war. It was about not losing one before it began. The core fear on both sides was simple. If the other side could strike first and destroy your nuclear forces on the ground, your ability to respond might vanish in minutes. That fear produced a dangerous idea known as launch on warning. The logic behind it was brutal. If your systems detect incoming nuclear missiles, you do not wait to see explosions on your own territory. You respond while the enemy's missiles are still in the air. The advantage is time. The cost is certainty. Every second gained by early warning technology reduces the amount of information available to decision-makers. Leaders are asked to decide the fate of millions based not on confirmed reality, but on signals, probabilities, and assumptions. Launch on warning does not eliminate fear. It simply forces fear to operate faster. For decades, the Soviet Union relied primarily on ground-based radar to detect incoming attacks. Massive radar installations scanned the horizon, waiting for warheads to rise high enough to appear above the curvature of the Earth. But radar has a fundamental limitation. It cannot see a missile the moment it launches. It can only detect it later when it climbs into view. That delay may seem small, minutes, sometimes less. But in a nuclear confrontation, minutes are the difference between having a choice and having none. By the late Cold War, Soviet planners understood that radar alone could not provide enough warning time. If they wanted to avoid being caught by surprise, they needed to see launches earlier. The answer was space. Satellites orbiting far above the Earth promised something radar could not: the ability to see a missile almost from the moment it left. The Soviet space-based early warning system was called OKO, meaning eye. Its design philosophy differed from that of the United States. Rather than looking straight down at the Earth, OKO satellites were designed to watch the edge of the planet. The idea was that a missile rising against the darkness of space would be easier to identify than one viewed against bright land or cloud cover. This approach reduced certain types of false alarms. It also introduced a dependency on geometry. The satellites followed highly elliptical orbits, allowing them to linger over the northern hemisphere for long periods of time. From these positions, they could monitor American missile fields during critical windows. On paper, it was an elegant solution: precise, efficient, confident. But elegance in engineering often hides fragility, and fragility only reveals itself under rare conditions. On the night of September 26, 1983, those rare conditions aligned: the satellite in position, the Earth turning beneath it, the sun rising at just the wrong angle, high-altitude clouds forming where no one could see them from the ground. Sunlight reflected off those clouds and entered the satellite's sensors in a way the system had not been designed to interpret safely. To the machine, the signal looked exactly like what it had been built to detect. Bright, sudden, intense, indistinguishable from the infrared signature of a rocket plume. The system did not know it was looking at clouds. It only knew that something in the sky matched the pattern of a nuclear launch, and it reacted accordingly. The system did not stop at a single warning. Moments after the first alert, another appeared, then another. Each new signal reinforced the previous one, giving the impression of confirmation rather than error. Eventually, the number stabilized at 5 detected launches, 5 missiles. In nuclear logic, numbers carry meaning. They suggest intent. They shape expectations. 5 was a deeply uncomfortable number, too many to dismiss as noise, too few to resemble a real first strike. A massive attack would involve hundreds of missiles, launched nearly simultaneously. 5 did not fit that picture, but 5 was still enough to demand action. Inside the bunker, the difference between uncertainty and confirmation began to narrow. Early warning systems do not exist to inform operators. They exist to activate chains. Once a warning is confirmed, information moves upward, from technical personnel to military leadership, and ultimately to political authority. Each step reduces ambiguity, but also reduces time. At every level, the pressure is the same. Do not be the person who ignored a real attack. False alarms can be explained later. Missing a real strike cannot. This is what makes early warning environments so dangerous. They reward compliance with procedure over independent judgment. And in this moment, the system was demanding confirmation. Stanislav Petrov was not a politician. He was not a strategist designing nuclear doctrine. He was an officer trained to operate a system and follow its procedures. His role that night was deceptively simple: evaluate the alert and report whether it was real. But simplicity disappears when the cost of being wrong is existential. Petrov understood the system he was working with. He knew it was new. He knew it had not yet accumulated a long record of reliability. And he knew something else that mattered more than any technical manual. He knew how nuclear war was supposed to begin. Petrov asked a question the system could not. If the United States were launching a first strike, why would it begin with only 5 missiles? A real attack would aim to disable Soviet nuclear forces before they could respond. That required scale, speed, overwhelming force. 5 missiles achieved none of that. This reasoning did not prove the alert was false, but it broke the illusion of certainty. The system was claiming confidence. Petrov was introducing doubt. And in early warning environments, doubt is not a weakness. It is a stabilizer. Ground-based radar remained silent. No incoming objects appeared on the screens. No confirmation followed the satellite warning. Minutes passed. Each minute reduced the likelihood that the alert was real. Eventually, the system stopped escalating. No detonations occurred. No further launches were detected. The moment ended not with an announcement, but with absence. Nothing happened, and that absence prevented everything that could have followed. The incident was not publicly acknowledged. It was investigated quietly within the system that had produced it. Officially, the problem was framed as human error, a failure to follow procedure correctly. Machines are difficult to blame. They represent investment, doctrine, and institutional confidence. People are easier. Petrov did not receive immediate recognition. Instead, the event faded into classified obscurity. The system, however, was adjusted, because even when mistakes are buried, their technical lessons are not. This incident did not occur in isolation. The year 1983 was one of the most tense periods of the late Cold War. Earlier that month, a civilian airliner, Korean Airlines Flight 007, had been shot down by Soviet forces. 269 people were killed. The event hardened attitudes on both sides and intensified suspicion. In this atmosphere, ambiguous signals did not feel neutral. They felt threatening. Context matters, and in 1983, context amplified fear. Soviet intelligence services were actively searching for signs of a possible surprise attack. Programs were designed to collect fragments of information and assemble them into warnings. Exercises, troop movements, and political rhetoric were all interpreted through a lens of vulnerability. This mindset does not require paranoia to be dangerous. It only requires uncertainty. When systems are primed to expect attack, they interpret ambiguous data more aggressively. False alarms become more believable, and believable false alarms are the most dangerous kind. This story is often simplified into a single sentence. One man saved the world. Reality is more complex. There were layers of command, safeguards, procedures designed to slow escalation, but each layer still depended on human judgment. Petrov did not end the Cold War. He did not override nuclear strategy. What he did was reduce risk at a critical moment. And in systems where minutes matter, reducing risk is sometimes enough. The most unsettling detail of this story is not the technology, it is the trigger. The trigger was not ideology, not strategy, not even human intent. It may have been sunlight reflecting off clouds, a natural phenomenon intersecting with a man-made system designed for certainty. On September 26, 1983, the Cold War did not end, but it revealed something important. The world was not protected by perfect machines. It was protected by imperfect judgment. And on that night, imperfect judgment was enough.